Thank you very much. My pleasure. Please.
Sir.
Yeah.
Now it is my honor to introduce Dr. Anand Balyogi Bhavanani, sir. He is a professor of yoga therapy and director with ISCM, Shri Balaji Vidyapeeth, Pulayankapan, Pondicherry. Sir is a seasoned thought leader, guru, coach, speaker, a yogacharya. Dr. Anand Balyogi, sir, is a director of the Institute of Salutogenesis, complementary medicine, and professor of yoga therapy at Shri Balaji Vidyapeeth University, Pondicherry. He is a recognized PhD guide for yoga therapy and is the first Indian to recognize as the ICYER Chief Certified Yoga Therapist by the International Association of Yoga Therapists, USA. He is an honorary advisor of International Association of Yoga Therapists, Australian Association of Yoga Therapists, and Gitananda Yoga Association worldwide. What sir is going to talk about is so apt because abhi tak humne discussions dekhe and that people have been talking about separately about Vedanta, people are talking about Gita, a couple of discussions about yoga. लेकिन जब आज हम सक्सेस को देखते हैं, probably in this materialistic world, we measure success by materialistic accomplishment. लेकिन अगर वो सक्सेस मन की शांति के साथ नहीं है, आत्मा की शांति के साथ नहीं है, मन की मधुरता के साथ नहीं है, तो सक्सेस के मायने अधूरे हैं. Now the next lecture where sir is going to talk about the integration of Vedantic practices with Vedantic principles with yogic practices. क्योंकि अनुशासन, संतुलन और मानसिक जीवन को जो स्पष्टता मिलती है योग से, और वेदांत हमें सत्य, आत्म सत्य बल्कि आत्मज्ञान और सत्य की खोज की तरफ प्रेरित करता है. तो ये जो इंटीग्रेशन है जिस पर हम वी आर ऑन टू द जर्नी ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग सेल्फ, अंडरस्टैंडिंग द ट्रूथ with discipline, balance, and the clarity of mind. I'm sure all of us are going to be benefited with this session. Sir, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. मैं, मेरी सारी टीम और सारे पार्टिसिपेंट बहुत उत्सुकता से आपके सेशन का इंतजार कर रहे थे. बहुत बहुत स्वागत है सर. प्रणाम.
नमस्कारम, स्वागतम, शुभदिनम. Happy morning to everyone. It's getting to noon and gives me a great pleasure to be part of this faculty development program that is focusing on the importance of Indian knowledge system. I would like to, before I begin, request our participants that it would be nice if people kept the videos on so that I know who I'm talking to. What has happened since COVID is everybody's gone online and hides behind a screen so that we don't know who we are talking to, and we are talking to a wall or rather a computer screen. So I request those of you who can put your video on to put it on so that at least there's a face-to-face, if not in-person connection. I'm going to be today presenting on the integration of yogic and Vedantic principles. And this is an integration that comes not just conceptually, but from a very deep experiential area. And before I begin, I'm going to be invoking our great Rishi culture Guru Parampara, because none of this knowledge belongs to me. I am only the conduit, I am only the vehicle, I am only the container. The knowledge is from the source of the great Rishis themselves. Om Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Cha Vaidyakena Yopakarotam Pravaham Muninam Padanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi Om Tat Param Paryaya Vidmahe Jnanalingeshwaraya Dhimahi Tanno Guruh Prachodayate. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. I was enjoying a very beautiful session by our Sabir Sheikh ji, and a pleasure to listen to how the Yoga Sutras must be lived. Because Indian culture teaches us to live the principle, not just memorize it. So today I'm talking about some Vedantic and Yogic principles and how these ancient Indian philosophies can reform modern education. I hope my screen is visible and I hope that it will be moving. I'll be looking at the first part, ancient Indian wisdom and modern science, and just a very short recap. Is it serendipity that different people thought of the same thing, or is it intellectual property theft of Indian knowledge system by the West? The second is I'm going to highlight the Gurukula system, the Guru Shishya Parampara, which is a must if we are to understand Indian knowledge system. The third, challenges in modern teaching and focusing on what I call educational indigestion and trying to give a small, light at the end of the tunnel that maybe Vedantic and Yogic wisdom can give us a solution. So my first question is, do great minds think alike and come to similar results, or is it intellectual property theft? For example, we have Newton's laws of motion. But long before Newton came to that, this has been part of our Indian culture. And we find that in the Vaisheshika Darshana, already these are described. So is it that Newton also tapped into the source, or has there been theft? We talk about how the plane took flight and the human being started to fly in the sky. But long back, we have the Tripura Vimana principles of Indian culture. We talk about how the distillation process and all can happen. It is Tiryaka Patana Yantra has already been there in our culture. Square and cube root already described long ago in Aryabhatta and his works. The Pythagoras theorem that is always attributed to the Greeks, Baudhayana Sutra already has it. When we talk of modern medicine and all its specialities, our Ayurvedic system, the science of life, already had all of these specialities long ago. Similarly, it is very common to find people talk about the Greeks and the humors, forgetting that our Ayurveda system already had all of this well entrenched thousands of years ago. Blood flow, blood circulation has been described. Plastic surgery has been described long ago in our culture. And of course, even intestinal surgery, we find such links. Shushruta described all sort of equipment long before people even came into the metal age. Long before people came into the metal age in the West, already Indians had gone way past it. And in modern times, physiotherapy and all those exercises heavily taken from our Indian system of yoga abhyasa. So are these just serendipity, which means by chance, or are they actually intellectual property theft? The second part I want to go into is the Gurukula system, because the Gurukula system is not just a traditional system. It is a mentor-centric education with a one-to-one education. This is what we have today in higher education, where as a guide for PhD candidates, at any time, UGC doesn't allow me to have more than 8 candidates. I cannot have 800 candidates or 8,000 candidates in a class doing PhD with me. But We have gone into this mass consumerism of our Indian cultural ethos, including yoga, through things like our International Day of Yoga, International Day of Meditation, where it has become a mass movement. It is great, but the true teachings need one-to-one mentor-centric education, where the guru knows the shishya knows the guru, and it is personalized for the individual. There is a direct experience under the guru, and the education is holistic. There is physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual growth, because the whole goal of this system is a development of a Purna Purusha, someone who has manifested all aspects of who they are. And this is why I would like to share a very important principle of learning in the Indian tradition. It starts with Shravana. We have to have attentive listening. Now we find that today, the capacity to listen has become very rare in our students. So if the person doesn't listen in the first place, what are they going to imbibe? So the first stage is you have to actually listen. And there is a difference here. Listening and hearing are not the same. We hear a lot of things because hearing is unconscious, subconscious process. Listening is a conscious, mindful process. Hence, the process of learning starts only when the student is open to listening to what is being said. The second part, now that you have listened, the input has come in, it has to be taken forward into what is called manana, where you start to contemplate it, you introspect it, you analyze it for the deeper understanding. And then, of course, once you have understood it, it is not to be memorized for an examination. It is to be imbibed to become a lived experience. It's an embodied experience. Yoga and Vedanta are not just at the level of learning, they are at the level of embodiment. It is an embodied experience where you are feeling the teachings, living the teachings to the best of your ability. You know what I always find very interesting, and I keep on saying this many times. And the reason I say it many times is that often we find that teachers are often the worst of students. And in a faculty development program, despite my making a request, we have 4 people on the screen, including me. This commitment is something that, or rather the lack of commitment is something I must comment upon. It may not be politically correct to do so, but as an Acharya, I don't consider myself a guru, but definitely as an Acharya, it is my dharma to state what needs to be stated at the appropriate time in the appropriate way. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. And I would like to share with you a very interesting anecdote from Maharishi Ramana. Ramana Maharishi was one of the last enlightened beings on this planet, according to me. There have been a lot of people who claim to be enlightened. But if you're enlightened, you don't go around saying, I am enlightened, I am enlightened, I am enlightened. If you say that, you're not enlightened. Ramana, according to me, was one of the last. We have, documentations that, yes, he was enlightened. So a student went to Ramana and said, Ramana, which is the best asana? Because they were into all Hatha Yoga and doing all asana, Shirsasana and all type of things. So they said, Ramana, what is the best asana? They thought he'll say Shirsasana because everybody wants to do Shirsasana because it is said to be the king of asanas. Or if they are not king, they want to be queen and do Sarvangasana. Nobody wants to be the common person. They want to be king and queen. So this person went to Ramana and said, Ramana, which is the best asana? And Ramana said, Nididhyasana. He said, Nididhyasana is the best asana. When you have been established in that wisdom, that is the best state of sthirata and sukhata. Because asana is sthira sukha. Best sthirata and sukhata is when your experience is a lived experience of the highest knowledge and reality. And this is why we must bring it into our life. Now, another aspect I like to talk about is the different levels of students, because we are talking about learning. And Maharishi Patanjali, in his Samadhi Pada, he gives us two verses. Thivra samveganam asannah mridumadhya adimatrat tato api vishesha. And he says there are different type of sadhakas. I am translating it as students here in this context. One is the mridu, very dull. You need extra attention. You have to pull them, push them, cajole them, beat them, try all sort of tricks, dance on the table to even get them to come to class. That is mridu. The next is the madhya, the average learner. You give them the structure, they will do well. The adi matra, the excellent learners. These are the people, and always every teacher will find one of these students in class. And they will make your teaching worthwhile. The mridu madhya will not make your teaching worthwhile, I guarantee you that. You will wonder why you ever became a teacher. But the adi matra, you will say, finally, one person is understanding what I am saying, so let me share. But then Patanjali tells us, Thivra samvegin, the one who has that high motivation, they are eager for that transformation. They are willing to work like anything. They are 100% mindful of what is being taught, and they are assimilating it, imbibing it, sharing it, and in fact will enable you to shine as a teacher. That is the type of student that we are trying to work with. So if in a class you have the mridu, the type of teaching for a mridu is different than a teaching for the madhya, adimatra, and of course, thivra samvegin, you just have to light the lamp and it will catch fire and glow for the whole world to enjoy the light. Now, what are the challenges in modern teaching? The first and foremost concept which I want you to take away is we are suffering educational indigestion today. We are being fed information in the name of education. Feeding of information is not education. Underline it with green, red, blue, whatever color you want to do. Highlight it with pink, yellow, whatever highlight you use. We are just feeding information after information after information, leading to educational indigestion. Student takes it all in, vomits it out on the paper. We give them an A+ grade, O grade. They go out as a gold medalist. That is not education. Educare means to educe from within the individual. What is the quality in that individual and how do you educe it? How do you bring it out? Is the process of education. And the biggest challenge I feel, and yes, I am also teaching in a Guru Shishya Parampara in a Gurukula, our Ananda Ashram at Pondicherry. I am also a professor and director at our institute in the university. So I understand both ends of the spectrum. What has happened is that we are focusing on outcome-based education today. And that is the biggest problem today. Because if it is outcome-based, we are always trying to find shortcuts to get the outcome. We are not working on the process at all. Indian culture stresses the need for process-oriented educational system. Because if you don't follow the process, the outcome will not come. That is the Indian approach. And I use this maze here. You'll wonder why we have a rabbit and a carrot. Because as a child, we play this game. Take that rabbit to the carrot. Now, if you try to take the rabbit to the carrot, you'll go through many dead ends and all, and finally you will get there. It is time consuming. So what do we learn to do? Go from the carrot to the rabbit. In fact, today with my dear Nilachal, who is with me as a PhD candidate and enabled this PPT to come with such beauty for me, I put this in the first question I asked him and he immediately answered. I said, did you focus on the rabbit or the carrot? He said, sir, carrot. Because carrot to rabbit always is easier. Rabbit to carrot is time consuming because it is process oriented and we are lazy. We always want shortcuts. A very simple example is what is called QCI YCB examination accreditation in India. And I am part of the steering committee for YCB, and still I will say this point. What happened is when we set up the QCI and YCB to set standards for yoga, we wanted that people will learn yoga properly and then have an examination to get accredited. Today, what has happened is we are only looking at what is the minimum needed to get a pass mark in that accreditation exam. Teach the student only that much so that they can pass the exam and get YCB chapa. Khatam ho gaya. Where is quality? It is quantity, not quality. And this is why when we talk about Indian knowledge system, I will always stress on process-oriented. You should be aware of outcome, but not outcome-based. Process-oriented, outcome-aware efforts in education. The second thing is teachers don't have any more authority or control over students. Because today we ask the student to give feedback about the teacher. Earlier, we used to ask teachers to give feedback about students. Now it is student gives feedback about teacher. So teacher wants to get good feedback from students who wants to be very nice to student, and you don't correct anybody because you don't want to get a 1-star rating. You all want 5-star rating like a Zomato and Swiggy delivery boy who wants a 5-star rating. We teachers have become like that. Authority is important. Misuse of authority is wrong. Abuse of authority is wrong. But today, because of the fear of abuse and misuse of authority, the teachers have been victimized and authority has been removed. You cannot fail a bad student because the university doesn't want that to spoil their 100% pass for NIRF ranking and NAC accreditation. This is the reality today. Again, there has to be discipline and motivation, and it should be always student-centric development. I say a hospital exists for the sake of the patient. An educational institution exists for the sake of the student, not to pay the salaries of the doctors and the teachers. Today, we have moved away from student-centric development. Again, another example with this drawing, you can see what has happened. Everybody wants education to run after that carrot. Everybody is running faster, faster, faster. I don't know where they're running until they fall into the grave, and then you just put the sand and say rest in peace or Om Shanti or Tadastu or whatever you want to say. We have become fragmented. We have forgotten that all knowledge is one. Even when we teach the Shat Darshana, we have sort of said, oh, according to Vedanta, it is that. According to yoga, it is that. They are all one and the same. Their different darshanas are different viewpoints of the same reality. Students study the anatomy of the heart separately. They study the anatomy of the kidney separately. And they think the heart and kidney are different. It is of the same human being. And the heart will influence the kidney will influence the heart, and we have forgotten that. Super duper specialists in medicine have forgotten to look at the whole person. We are only looking at our specialty. And again, are we giving practical application to our students today? For name's sake, naam ke vaste, we have one practical and the student knows he'll get passed. So he doesn't even bother. He copies his practical note from his friend. He will copy the assignment from somebody else, and because we cannot, teachers don't have the authority, pass everybody. Someone who doesn't do anything is given 14 out of 20. Somebody who does everything is given 17 out of 20. The only difference is 3 marks for someone who does nothing and somebody who does everything. And the ethical and moral decline. We are having to have CCTVs in classrooms. We have to have individualized invigilators for examinations because we cannot trust the student. You go and look at how the entrance exams are done. The students are frisked like they are terrorists. Clothes are removed. They are made to, wear see-through clothes so that you don't trust the students' integrity. We don't trust our teachers' integrity. We have to regain the moral and ethical high quality that yama and niyama of yoga gives us. So Vedantic and yogic wisdom, some solutions maybe. One is the Vedantic wisdom says Atma Vidya, the knowledge of the self is most important. One is the Paravidya, one is the Aparavidya. Yesterday, I was listening to Yogacharya Mary Cecil talk about this. And she mentioned the Paravidya, Aparavidya. Because we are totally focused today on Aparavidya. Nobody is caring about the Paravidya at all. How to make more money, how to get a promotion, how to be the biggest businessman and make the most money before you die. We have forgotten why are we here? What is the purpose? And that is why we are only focusing on the external knowledge, not focusing at all on self-awareness and emotional, and I will even go one more step further, spiritual intelligence. That is why our Taittiriya Upanishad, it says, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, that the highest truth, reality, knowledge, wisdom, and the infinite cosmos is there. We need to go beyond the superficial and go into the depth. Another very beautiful concept that we find in Vedantic wisdom that is also shared by the Buddha concepts is Neti Neti. Adi Shankara uses this in his Dasasloki. Na bhumin na toyam na tejo na vayu na kamnendriyam na teshan samoha anaikantikatvat shushupte kasiddha tadeko vashishta shiva kevaloham. You are negating that which is not real to understand the real. This is a scientific methodology. This is a scientific methodology that was there. And trying to understand what is called Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of the universal source itself. In yoga, we talk about how mental evolution occurs through the process of the Chitta Bhumi. Now, I must tell you, often people think Chitta Bhumi is in Yoga Sutra. Chitta Bhumi is not in Yoga Sutra, it is in the Vyasa commentary. And you find websites. Never trust these internet websites, Baba. There's a lot of information, but more information and disinformation these days. Patanjali has taught 4 asanas. I don't know which Patanjali has taught 4 asanas. Patanjali talks of Chitta Bhumi. He talks of Chitta Vritti. Vyasa then goes on to say there are Chitta Bhumi, Mooda, Kshipta, Vikshipta, Ekagrata, Niruddha. To understand how our consciousness is flowing through the individual. And the most important, Sarva Bhauma Mahavratam, says Patanjali, the Yama Niyama, where we understand how to deal with the world around us ethically and how to deal with ourselves morally. What is to be done, what is not to be done. The Yamas and the do nots. Do not be violent, do not thief, do not steal. And the Niyamas are be pure, be disciplined, be introspective, and develop acceptance of the higher will. Ishvara Pranidhana Atman Prasadam. We have the beautiful model of the Panchakosha. And this Panchakosha, I often talk about it by saying Panchakosha goes all the way down to the cellular level. Your cells have Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. Because a cell has structure, function, intelligence, feedback mechanisms, and interconnectivity. We understand there are Chaturveda Purushartha, Dharmartha Kama Mokshanam, Chaturveda Purushartham, it is said. But for Artha Kama Moksha to occur, Baba, first do Dharma. Live your Dharma. If you do not live your Dharma, it becomes adharmic. And then the same Artha and Kama will become millstones around your neck that will drag you down into the samskara. And that is why, even in our Tamil culture, Aram Purul Invam says the great saint Thiruvalluvar, in his Thirukural, 1330 verses, 133 chapters. And he talks of what it is to live with integrity. And then you can manifest that integrity through prosperity in the world, prosperity of emotional attainment, and the prosperity of spiritual fulfillment. And one of the great teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Siddhya asiddhayo samabhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Some days you have success, some days you have failure. Don't be elated with success and don't be disappointed with failure. Have equanimity. Equanimity at the level of the mind. Equilibrium at the level of the body. Homeostatic, golden mean is what balance is. Now, how can students bring this into their aspects? One, lifestyle management through these principles. They can learn to manage how they study. Relationship management, communication skill management, character building. Remember, character building is the essential quality for nation building and is essential for world order building, which will be of a dharmic manner and not adharmic. Remember, dharmic is daivata, adharmic is asura. And today there's a lot of asura guna happening all around this planet. And never forget, we are here to excel, self-excellence. So in lifestyle management, the Bhagavad Gita gives us a beautiful concept of moderation. Moderation in everything. Yukta ahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodasya, yogo bhavati dukkha ha. Dukkha is destroyed. Ha is to destroy. The dukkha is destroyed when moderation is there. Do you have a routine that is moderate? Dressing, food, company, etiquette, all of that in moderation. The extremism will never give you balance. Balance lies in the center. If I take this pen and I want to find balance, it lies in the center, not at the extremes. At the extreme, extremism can never give peace. Extremism can never give abundance. Extremism can never give health or wellness. The study management, how to manage the time, focus on concentration, memory. You know, the focused mind is so powerful. The distracted mind is like normal light. Normal light is scattered, so you can only see, that's all. But focused light is like a laser beam. And you know that a laser is all powerful. And that is why taking the mind, which is sarvartha, Patanjali Maharishi tells us, sarvartha ekagratayo, shayodayo. He says, the mind that is everywhere, sarva artha, it is caught up with everything. You are every place, but not here. He says, bring the mind, ekagrata. And then once your concentration improves, automatically memory, reading skills, and then that will come into all your other skills. Relationships. How can you manage, find adjustment, a positive mental attitude, manage your negative emotions? The young people today are filled with negative emotions, self-hate, self-loathing, and self-denial. And that is why you have to refine. You have to develop emotional culture. How do you develop emotional culture? Change the way they breathe. The moment you change the way somebody breathes, you change the way they think, you change the way they feel. And that is why no amount of counseling will help them. Start to help them breathe. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. 5 minutes of just this, we call it Sukha Pranayama. It develops Sukha. It develops ease. We can do what we call Sukha Purvaka, which today has become very popular as box breathing. Because you breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. So 4 counts in, 4 counts you hold, 4 counts you breathe out, 4 counts you hold out. In our tradition, it is called Sukha Purvaka. Amazing control of emotions is brought in. If you talk to them about emotion, they'll become more emotional. But if you teach them self-regulation, emotional self-regulation by regulating the breath. And when you regulate the breath, you regulate prana. Pranayama is not a breathing exercise. I'm very sorry. Pranayama is not breathing exercise. Pranayama is the regulation of the life force prana using the methodology of the breath. The breath is the vehicle through which you are learning to regulate and experience, develop an awareness of prana. That is pranasya ayama pranayama. Breathing exercise doesn't give you awareness of prana or life force. It strengthens your lungs. It doesn't do anything more. Pranayama transforms you from, the back of the brain thinking is where the normal breathing occurs. The brain stem, it is called, reptilian cortex. And this area is where there's a lot of the individuality, the ahankara, the abhinivesha klesha, because it is going me, all the time, me. I have to survive, survival mode. What do we do in pranayama? We go from normal automatic regulation of breathing to prefrontal cortex. This is conscious, mindful regulation, choice-based, not choice-based credit system, choice-based breath control system. And that is called the di. Your buddhi gets dhiyoyona prachodayat. So here I often teach the students, me, and you shift it to di. So first, what are you doing? You are very, very mean, me, and you go to di. You are shifting from survival mode to a mode that is thriving, abundance, and flourishing mode. We want to shift from survival to thriving and flourishing mode. This is the basis of positive psychology, which already yoga has in its practices. Communication. The Thiruvalluvar again, he says, Iniya ulavaga innada kural. This is in Tamil, our South Indian language. Kani irpa kai kavandatu. If you cannot speak softly, sweet words, it is like you are choosing the raw fruit rather than the sweet fruit. He says you have a choice. How do you speak? How do you communicate? How do you present? What do you say? I always like to remind people, I say, keep the donkey last. They say, what is this donkey? I say, when my mother taught me English, until the age of 13, I did not go to school. I was educated at home in our ashram. At the age of 13, I went and joined school because, if you want to come into the academic setup, you need all of that. And my mother used to teach me English grammar. She said very clear, keep the donkey last, which means whenever I say something, I should say Sabir Sheikh and me. I should never say me and Sabir Sheikh. Me in Dr. Singh, me and Dr. Gaur. No, it should be Dr. Gaur and myself. Dr. Gaur and I, my team and me. This is very important. And as a leader, what I have understood is the more you can move from the I am doing it to we are doing it. The more you do that, the more effective leadership quality will be. But if always, whenever you get success, you go on stage, and whenever there's failure, you put your teammates on stage, you are not a leader, you are a nothing. I won't even use a term for it. That is why I like MS Dhoni. He doesn't have to do yoga, but he is a yogi. Whenever he would win the cup, he would take the youngest team member and give them the cup. And whenever there was a loss, he would face the press. See, this is the leadership quality. This is the responsibility, the communication we need to have. And never forget, the most important thing is character building. Because if we cannot build character, we have lost the whole purpose of education if character building doesn't occur. Simple living, high thinking, hard work is so important. Indriya samyama, the sense control. Sheikh sir was talking about the pratyahara, where you are disengaging from your attachment to the senses. We are going out and always looking for ahara. What can I see? What can I see? What can I hear? What can I taste? What can I feel? We are always caught in sensory. We fall into what is called Indriya Jala. You have to move from Indriya Jala to Indriya Jaya, says Patanjali. He says, when you develop Saucha, he says, Saumanasya, Aikagraya, Indriya Jaya, Atma Darshana Yogyatwanicha, he says, for the concept of Saucha. You have to have that Indriya Jaya. And then what person tells you doesn't matter. Somebody says something, somebody doesn't say something. You have come into that zone where you are focused on your dharma, your purpose. And again, humility. Humility is the first sign of greatness in my book. The greatest people I know are the most humble, and the people who are not humble, well, they deserve to be in another book. Goodwill, tolerance, and positive mental attitude. Along with tolerance, I'd also like to say mutual coexistence, mutual respect, mutual acceptance. Because tolerance means I don't like you, but I'll still keep you there because I'm tolerating you. Mutual respect, mutual acceptance, mutual coexistence is symbiotic. We want a symbiotic relationship to be developed. And self-excellence. You want physical well-being, intellectual strength, emotional maturity, a life of integrity with inner health and spiritual insight. And again, Shushruta, what beautiful. Samadosha sama agnischa samadhatu malakriya. All that is okay. The most important part of Swast. Prasanna Atma Indriya Mana. When that prasannata is there, wow, you are at that level of excellence. Now again, how does a teacher deal with students? Arthashastra has talked about it, and Saint Tyagaraja, my favorite composer of Carnatic music, and I sing Carnatic music, he sings of Lord Rama. Sarasa Samadana Vedadanda Chatura Sati Deva Mevare Robave Sarasa Samadana. Sarasa Samadana, says Tyagaraja. Sometimes you have to treat the student as equal. Sometimes you have to encourage through rewards and incentives. Sometimes you have to keep them away from each other so that they will not infect each other with negativity. And sometimes discipline is necessary. Today, the last two are totally neglected. You are expected to only do the first two. And that is a lopsided development. What are some responsibilities for faculty? Because this is the faculty development program. I would say one of the most important aspects I would always focus is that we have to have creative excellence. Creative excellence is required for all teachers. Willpower, imagination, creativity, and action and thought. There has to be multidimensionality of your personality. You have to be a polymath. You have to be a polymath. You have to have creative use of stress and emotions. We are all having stress. We are all emotional beings. If you don't have stress and emotions, you are dead. How do you use it? Use the energy of stress. That is what Patanjali says. Pratipaksha bhavanam. That bhava has to come from inside, but it is pratipaksha, using the contrary attitude to deal with the negativities. Use the power of emotion to make a difference. And again, creativity and spirituality, because the ultimate goal is what is being given by the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Asatoma satgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityoma amatangamaya. We want to lead from darkness to light. From the known to the unknown is the process of learning. And again, in the Nasadiya Sukta, it talks of the creative process. We need curiosity. We have to be curious. Just because I'm a professor doesn't mean I can stop being curious. My father used to say, you have to be childlike always. Not childish. Not childish. Childlike. Innocence should be there. Curiosity should be there. Why? If you cannot ask the why, I don't know why we exist if we cannot ask the question why. Tatakim, tatakim. So important. Exploration. Don't say, I know what I know enough to teach my student. No. Try to explore. Go deeper. Refine your teachings. What I taught 30 years ago should be better today in a more refined way. If not, change your profession and go to something else. Because we need to refine ourselves. And communication. So many times we go and talk and talk and talk and nobody listens because nobody hears anything because it is all going above. Find the level of the listener. Reach that. My favorite singer, K.J. Yesudas and Shankaranarayanan sir, my mentors in music, they used to say, you should know the pulse of your listener. A teacher should know the pulse of the students and find how to pulsatile delivery of wisdom in appropriate dosage at appropriate time in appropriate way so that it reaches them in a harmonic manner, then it will be perfect. And develop that yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yesterday I was listening to one of the speakers and then the discussion after that with Dr. Vibhudaman Gaur, and they were talking about the karmasu kaushalam. That skillfulness in your action, but nishkama. Do your best, but don't expect anything. Very difficult today. We all want to only expect, even if you do the worst. Do your best, but don't expect anything. And that is so important. And this is where, as a faculty member, team building and leadership, can you lead yourself? Can you have strategic thinking, decision making, team building activity, and delegation skills? You are not Superman. Let others also do their part. Each person, find the right person to do the right job. That is a skill of a leader. And again, a leader should always respect the team members. If you don't respect your team members, they will never respect you. In front of you, they'll say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Behind your back, they will go and put a knife in your back like Brutus did to Caesar. And all our Indian, I watched recently that Chava movie, and I said, this is the history of India. Never has an invader ever won a battle in India without somebody inside betraying. Never. History of India is how I call that movie. And again and again. And today also. Why? Because we have not respected people. Give them freedom. Give them freedom to make mistakes. Nothing wrong. I tell my students, I tell my faculty, I tell everyone, I am not perfect. I know I am not perfect, so I don't expect you to be perfect. But what I expect is that you are making an effort to be as perfect as you can be at this point of time. If you don't make self-effort, you are in danger with me. Self-effort is the currency of spiritual growth. So if you want to grow, you have to make self-effort. Somebody else cannot do it for you. And bringing together with people. Bring people who are advisors. I have my own beautiful mentors. Seduraman sir, AK sir, Madan Mohan sir, Bijlani sir, my own beloved mother who's my guru, Ammaji. All of them, I seek the advice. I seek the inputs because I value the experience. You can get anything you want, but you can never get experience without going through the process. So when people have experience, respect it, have the humility and gain from their experience. You must be constantly learning, evolving, and striving for excellence. Nothing less than excellence. And I'm not talking about NAC A++ grade. I'm not only talking about that. I'm not talking about just the gold medal. I'm not talking about just being on Time magazine's front cover. I am talking about, have you manifested the potential that you have? All souls are potentially divine, says Swami Vivekananda, echoing the Rishi's wisdom. Swami Vivekananda didn't make it up. That is the Rishi's wisdom. He said it. If you are potentially divine, are you manifesting it? And this is why we need to have spiritual excellence, where we develop spiritual quotient. Can we think out of the box? Can we have humility? Can we access the energies of the cosmos and the universe? Go beyond the ego, not what will I get, what will I get, what will I get? You'll get nothing. If you're thinking, what will I get? You'll get nothing. What can I give? The moment you start to think, what can I give? You are growing in spirituality. As long as you are thinking, because it is parigraha, grabbing. I want. Parigraha. And all babies are born with the grasp reflex. In pediatrics, we check that. You have to let go. That is why one of the most important aspects in yoga is aparigraha, to let go. Because when you let go, you can receive. As long as you're grabbing, you will have limited. As soon as you let go, you can receive, and you can receive abundance. And then, of course, who is a true teacher? They need to be self-realized. You have to know yourself. Man, know thyself, said the Christ Master, who was also a yogi. Jesus Christ himself was a yogi, no doubt about it. Imagine being on the cross and saying, thy will be done. That is the height of the peak of Ishvara Pranidhana. self-realized. Guide your students towards wisdom, not just information. Information they can get through AI. Why do they need? I tease them. AI is artificial intelligence. It's also Ananda intelligence. You need Ananda intelligence, not artificial intelligence. Natural intelligence should guide artificial intelligence, and then we will have the best of the world. But today, natural intelligence is being downgraded. Only artificial intelligent essays are being submitted in all universities today. And humility, compassion, kindness. Now, kindness doesn't mean always being nice to people. Sometimes giving them a knock is also being kind. Because we are mistaken. What is kindness? Kindness is where you are looking for the good of that person and doing what is needed. That is kindness. And remember, each individual is unique. No two individuals are the same. That is why no biometrics. No two iris prints are the same. No two fingerprints are the same. No two snowflakes are the same. No two flowers are the same. No two leaves are the same. And we want the same standardized education. When people talk about standardized yoga, I am like, this is the total mistake. You need to set standards in education. You need to set standards in yoga. Standards of quality, not standardized. Standardized means cut everybody so that the tall person is cut, added to the short person to have everybody equal size. Cut Amitabh Bachchan and his wife in half and half and put them together so they are the same height. That is standardization, setting standards, bringing out the best in people. And that is why the role of the teacher is to understand the individual's potential and apply the right teaching approach. Square peg, square hole. Round peg, round hole. The teacher's wisdom, viveka, which is the goal of yoga, to develop viveka kyati. Yoganga anushthanat ashuddhikshaye jnana deepti a viveka kyate. That is the goal. Balance discipline and encouragement. Don't all the time, good, 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 good. When they do something wrong, hey, you are doing wrong. What have you done? When they do good, come on. And when they are falling down, come on, get up and you can do better. And this is why as guides and mentors in holistic education, I'm saying this because it's a faculty development program. And I hope some of the faculty are listening to me. Shravana, even if your videos are off, requires viveka, discernment, and karuna, empathy from the teacher. You need both intelligence and a good heart, a noble heart. So my Ananda intelligence summary, AA summary, because we all today are looking at AA summaries. Education must be customized, process-based to the student's nature and capacity. The Gurukula system's holistic approach fosters the complete human development. Teachers must develop wisdom and empathy to guide students effectively. And the Indian knowledge system emphasizes self-awareness, discipline, and all-round development into Purna Purusha. These are a few of the references. And a special thank you to my dear Nilachal, who has helped me make this PPT. We had presented it as a poster at Kaivalya Dhamma a few years ago at an educational conference. And it's also a published article. And my own team, a 12-member team of the ISCM, where we have a school of yoga therapy, a school of music therapy in a health sciences university. Nowhere in the world can you find this type of combination where traditional knowledge system with modern medicine to serve the patients of all departments, all our students, nursing students, dental students, the physiotherapy students, pharmacy students, medical students, everyone gets a yoga abhyasa program and develops a knowledge of the system that can be then applied in their professional career. We are not making a medical doctor into a yoga therapist. He will be a medical doctor. She will be a nurse. He or she will be a physiotherapist or a pharmacist. But they'll be aware of what yoga experience is. And this is happening here. The only member school of IIYT that is a university-based center, accredited now by YCB also, Indian Yoga Association also, and definitely welcoming each and everyone who's part of this program to visit us because there's so much of integration. We talk about integration, but here it is happening. I often say everybody talks about the weather. Everybody talks about the weather, but nobody does anything about it. Everybody talks about integration, nobody does anything about it. Here it is happening. For the last 15 years, it is happening. So do visit Pondicherry. It is a Siddha Bhumi, a Punya Bhumi, and you will enjoy this. This is a few details on our website. We are on social media, Facebook, Insta, YouTube, thousands of videos for free download that people can access. Thank you to each and every one of you. Dhanyavadaha, and hope that this session has given you a bit of food for thought. Hope I have not loaded you with indigestion. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful session. You have touched everything from Yama Niyam to Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Karmashu Kaushalam, and there are some basics like it's not about me. It's about the. So many things, sir, from this session. What you said, that we need to set the standard, not standardize the education. That was the core, I think, and that is, I think, much needed, sir. And thank you so much for making it so simple that we can get it. And I know the depth from where you speak. I know from that I've been very lucky that I got a chance to be a disciple student when you came to Kevaledham, twice or thrice when I was doing my course. And that's why I thought of asking you to come and bless us with your wisdom and all. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Abhishek sir.
Yes.
ओके सॉरी मैं टेकिंग बोलते ना एक गुरु एक अच्छा जो टीचर है वो शब्द सिर्फ अपने शब्दों से नहीं पढ़ाता, अपनी इंफॉर्मेशन से नहीं पढ़ाता, वो अपने तेज प्रभाव और ओज से पढ़ाता है। 1 घंटे का समय ऐसा बहुत कम होता है कि 1 घंटे के समय में हम ये सोचते हैं कि नहीं अभी थोड़ा और होना चाहिए। ये 1 घंटा कब व्यतीत हो गया, क्योंकि इस 1 घंटे में, पिछले 1 घंटे में जो ज्ञान का प्रवाह, द फ्लो ऑफ विजडम, द ओशियन ऑफ विजडम, और उस समय हम अपनी अपनी बाल्टी लेकर के बैठे हुए थे। जिसकी बाल्टी में जितना ले पाया उतना ले गया। अब मैं अपनी बाल्टी में क्या ले पाया, मैं सोच रहा था मेरी बाल्टी हैड इट बीन लिटिल लार्जर, लिटिल बिगर, मैं थोड़ा और ले सकता था, बट मेरी बाल्टी का आकार ही उतना है, मैं क्या करूं। इतनी सारी चीजें थी सर। ये दिस हैज गिवन, आई मीन, मैं अपने व्यक्तिगत रूप से बात कर रहा हूं कि मैंने क्या सीखा है इससे, और मैं निश्चित रूप से आशान्वित हूं और इसको लेकर के मतलब गौरवान्वित भी हूं कि जो चीजें आज देखने को मिली। सबसे बड़ी चीज आपने सर जो लेवल ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स, मृदु, मध्य, आदिमात्रा एंड तीव्र सुज्ञानी क्लासिफिकेशन, बिल्कुल मतलब मैं देख रहा था कि मैं इसको कैसे इंप्लीमेंट कर पाऊंगा, क्योंकि मेरी बाल्टी में उतना ही आ रहा था। मैं अपनी बाल्टी को देख रहा था, मेरी बाल्टी में क्या आ पाया। एंड वेरी राइटली वी ऑफन टॉक अबाउट कि एजुकेशन इंडाइजेशन, शायद कोई इसको कहने का गट्स नहीं रख पा रहा है सर, हिम्मत नहीं जुटा पा रहा है, वो हम सब इसको महसूस कर रहे हैं। एज ए टीचर हमें बता दिया जाता है ये पढ़ाना है। अरे जब मुझे बता दिया जाएगा, मैं पहले से 1 महीने पहले बता दूंगा मुझे क्या पढ़ाना है, तो जब वो थॉट का क्या हुआ, वेयर टीचर, स्टूडेंट एंड टीचर लर्न टुगेदर, को द क्रिएशन ऑफ लर्निंग कहाँ से हो गई, सब कुछ तो कंडीशनड हो गया है। तो हमें बता दिया गया है, हम सिर्फ इंस्ट्रक्टर बन गए कि जाकर के इंस्ट्रक्ट करो, सब कुछ पहले से डिसाइडेड है। यू टॉक्ड अबाउट द फियर, आई मीन हम उस परंपरा की बात कर रहे हैं जहां पर टीचर से ऊपर, गुरु से ऊपर कुछ होता नहीं था। इवन राजा के यहाँ जब गुरु जाते थे तो राजा भी अपना सिंहासन छोड़ देते थे। आज आपने बोला सीसीटीवी लगा रखा और बोला कि 2 मिनट लेट हैं आप। उसके लिए मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि वो सिस्टम गलत है, कहीं ना कहीं हमारे भी एक एज ए टीचर हमारी भी अपनी जिम्मेदारी है, हमको भी वो आत्मनिरीक्षण करना चाहिए कि ऐसा क्यों आया, सबको उसको देखना पड़ेगा, लेकिन हो गलत रहा है, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए। कमिंग टुगेदर, अभिषेक सर ने उसके बारे में बात कर दी है, मैं भी इस पे बात करना चाह रहे थे। मैं आपको एश्योर करता हूं कि आई विल कीप माई डंकी एट लास्ट। मैं ये कोशिश करूंगा कि मैं अपने डंकी को लास्ट में रखूं, क्योंकि बड़ा सही है, मी एंड माई टीम। मैं खुद भी इसका इस्तेमाल करता हूं और मैं मतलब ये प्रयास करूंगा कि इस डंकी को आई विल कीप एट द लास्ट। एंड देन स्टूडेंट मैनेजमेंट पे आपने बात करी, तो छोटा छोटा बाल्टी लोटे में जो आता गया है सर, प्रयास करेंगे कि इसका हम क्रियान्वय करें। और एंड में आपने कहा कि एआई और जो आनंद इंटेलिजेंस है उसकी आपने बात करी, नेचुरल इंटेलिजेंस की बात करें हम तो नेचुरल इंटेलिजेंस क्यों, आई थिंक नेचुरल स्टुपिडिटी इज बेटर देन आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस. विद दिस यूजुअली हम लोग क्या करते हैं, कंक्लूड करते हैं सेशंस को. मेरे अंदर तो शक्ति नहीं है कि मैं इसको कंक्लूड कर पाऊं, क्षमा चाहता हूं, बट कृतज्ञ है, धन्य है, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद इस सेशन के लिए सर. और मैं जरूर आपसे कनेक्ट करूंगा सर, आपकी उपलब्धि के हिसाब से. मैं व्यक्तिगत रूप से इससे लाभान्वित होना चाहूंगा और मैं हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हर व्यक्ति को मैं चाहूंगा कि आपके
Believe
इन
me,
सेशन से
Ripu sir,
लाभान्वित.
it's just a glimpse. Whenever
I
you'll
can
be with
imagine
him,
हमारे लोटा
you'll be
बाल्टी
able to
जो
see,
जो
sir.
भी आ पाया
He's
है,
like a ocean of knowledge.
Oh, that's what I said.
Yes, sir.
अब देखेंगे हमारे लोटा बाल्टी में कितना आया है और कितना चाहिए. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर, प्रणाम.
Thank you
That
so much, sir.
really reflected a huge impact on our FTP. Thank you, sir.
So much. Wishing everyone all the best.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir. Thank you.
Hari Om Tat Sat.
We'll rejoin at 2 after having this lunch break. 2 बजे फिर से हम सेशन के साथ शुरू होंगे. तब तक के लिए enjoy your meal. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.